meeting is now streaming live on YouTube. Okay, and I have to say
Selamat malam, selamat datang di Erasmushuis. Welcome tonight to our Indonesian audience, and welcome this afternoon to the Dutch guests we have in our studio today. I'm sitting, as you see, in my own Erasmushuis cinema, watching from home. I just watched the movie Fight Girl and being very impressed. And I'm very happy with this movie being a part of our family film program. And the family film program is being a part of our big family program in which we want to reach a broader audience, because the audience of the Erasmushuis normally is between 18 and 35 years old. And by showing movies, theater productions, dance productions, and giving attention to youth literature, we try to interest a broader audience to the marvelous youth culture and youth art we have in the Netherlands. Doing this, we think the main thing we're doing this is that we think that watching art and also practicing art for youngsters is very important to build on a democracy. It's being it's exposing the things you think, it's exchanging the things you think, it's getting to know new insights. And so in the Erasmushuis, we are always producing these programs to reach out to everybody who's interested or might be interested. Today we had the film Fight Girl, which is a film for a little bit older youth audience, not for the youngsters as we did the month before. And it's a film that's close to my heart because it's about a girl that is quite eager to get her place into the world and being seen and being heard of, and she wants to speak out, and she does it by kickboxing, and it shows girl power in a short way. So it's an interesting topic. Besides, the movie is very well made and really very exciting to look at. It's also about this extra topic that is quite right in the heart for what we want to expose. I'm very happy today that we have the director and the producers of the film Fight Girl, Vechtmeisje in Dutch, in our program. That's Johan Timmers, the director, Ineke Kanters and Jan van der Zande, the producers. From Indonesia, we have our moderator, as always, Amelia Hapsari, she's also in the board of advisors of Erasmushuis. I'm very happy that she's moderating today. And our special guest is Laila Chudori, a well-known film critic and author. I don't think she needs any introduction in Indonesia. So today we will talk about the movie, about making movie for children, about girl power, and I want to give the floor to Amelia Hapsari, our moderator. Thank you for being with us today.
Hello, thank you so much, Yolanda. My name is Amelia Hapsari. I'm now the framework change leader of Ashoka. And I'm really delighted to see this film because our goal in Ashoka is to build an everyone and change maker movement. And here in this film, I see a girl who has found her agency to, although a lot of problems are thrown into her world, but initially she was confused and she didn't know what to do, but when she found the way, when she realized her identity and her stage, she took the stage and changed her world. And I'm really glad that we are here with the producers and director of this film. Can I begin the discussion by asking Jan and Ineke. Why did you select this film? Did you find the script, or did you find, how did this film come about?
Ineke.
I think we were involved from the beginning. I think we knew the writer before, and we had spoken with Johan as well. Didn't work before. I think Jan did. Jan did work before with Barbara Jurgens, the writer. And we started with an idea, and then went to the Netherlands Film Fund, and we started with the treatment. And then we moved on with script, and we found a co-producer from Belgium.
Oh, lekker.
So that's how we built slowly and patient on this film. And everybody was very excited about the idea that it was about a girl with girl power, because a lot of the children's scripts are more about a dying mother or a dying father. And now this was a little bit more brave, I think. Jan?
Yes, and we thought the subject was very intriguing, and is telling something different about our society and how we look at it. And the contribution of the writer, of course, also of Johan, we worked very closely together in the team, which is very fruitful, because then you exchange thoughts, you change things, scenes, whatever it does, and you get a story that really is touching you. And we added at a certain point the kickbox material, because it's very popular under young girls and boys from 9 years onwards. So that was a more kind of a teasing like thing, and we used it at the same time as a development tool for the main character. Isn't that true, Johan?
And yes, so you found the story first, and then you asked Johan to come on board. So
Well,
Johan.
Yes, that's true.
Yeah.
Yes, that's true. Yeah.
So Johan, why did you agree? What spoke to you about this film or this idea when you were approached?
Well, I have to say, first of all, that the way Jan and Ineke approached me was very open and open-minded, and I felt there was a room for interpretation and building the script to a next level. So that was very important for me. So the producers team felt all right and dedicated. And for me, what I liked about the script is the simple idea of a girl who's suffering under a fighting divorce between her parents, and she's fighting herself to self-esteem and to a better situation. And how simple that sounds, it's a good idea to build a film on.
I see. Thank you. Sorry, Malela, when you first saw the film, what works for you? What do you think is very strong from this film?
First of all, I think I always like coming of age movie. I don't think this is what people think is a sports movie. It's much more of a coming of age girl with very chaotic parents who were screaming at the top of their lungs 24/7. I think it's very real, you know. I think we have seen, I'm sorry for my reference, the last time I watched a Dutch movie was the East or the Oost, you know.
Mm-hmm.
So we don't have a lot of Dutch movies in Indonesia. It's like in other parts of the world, we have a lot of Hollywood and we have a lot of Korean movies. So that was my last reference of Dutch movies. So I think uh, movies that involve divorce, usually from the Hollywood movies or the Korean movies, usually portray the parents, the husband and wives who are divorcing, and then the courtroom drama, you know, and all the dirty tricks that they're trying to do in order to get whatever they have to divide, or to get the custody and to get the, you know, whatever, the lands or whatever. And I think this is one of the few movies that involve divorce that really portray the kids, you know, and they're actually the very important part of the whole family when a couple got divorced. So I think that's the strong part for me when I watch this. And the second thing that I like is that, well, okay, the kickboxing thing is important, but to me, that's more of a vehicle. I like the part that when the director or the scriptwriter portrayed the siblings relationship, because a lot of the movies that I watch usually will show that how the storyline would be, you know, the brother would go to drugs, and the sister is, you know, they're all just falling apart. Whereas these two kids, Bo and Danny, Danny, he's the brother with a diabetic problem, and he plays guitar, and the sister is very, very protective, and they're really, they care about each other. And I really like stories where siblings are really take care of each other. And I think that's a very strong point of this movie. So there's going to be a lot of others, but that's my introductory answer for you, Amelia. There's going to be some things that I would like to mention at the end when finally she can control, because throughout the whole movie we're shown that how much she couldn't control herself. And I think it's understandable having parents who always fight every day. I think the story really showed it brilliantly, where the two kids have different response. One is really angry. She's a very angry kid. She's very temperamental. Whereas the other one is very bottled up. Like he kept everything to himself. And I think that's very, very realistic. So the ending was quite important and very interesting, but we'll talk about that later.
Thank you so much. One of the things that I think is really strong in this film is the casting. And the main character, I think Aiko did a really good job portraying Bo. Like, we can really see the anger, the pain, but also then her strength, all in her face. And without much, we can see her as a real person. So I'd like to ask you guys, I don't know who will answer this, Jan, Ineke, or Johan. How, when you cast children, when you, or teenagers in this case, how did you look? How did you find this characters, and how did you then direct or help her become that character?
Well, the moment we got in the stadium that it became clear that we could realize this film for real, I wanted to cast immediately, because I had the idea that I needed a good actress, but I also needed a good kickboxer, and to find that in one person would be very difficult. So I had to had enough time to let her train, and that's the way it worked. The first casting, there were two girls who were immediately giving themselves to the part and were involved and showed a lot of talent. And then the second casting, it was completely clear that Aiko, who plays the lead, was an extremely talented young girl, only 14 years old. And she's now already a big star in Holland, and in her mind, she's already taken off to Los Angeles, but she first has to finish her last year of school. So I casted her, but you can say better she she showed herself and her talent, so it was easy for me. And then she practiced half a year with an ex-World Cup champion trainster, and the result was great. The other girl with the curly hair, she was a kickboxer, and a really good one. She was 1 year older, 15 years, and she at that time also did was on the top of games. How do you say that in European championships for in her category? And with her, it was the other way around. I had to learn her to act, which is even more difficult than to learn kickbox. But it worked very well, and I think there was the luck, and you need sometimes. You can do a lot. You can have a proper preparation, etc., etc. But you have to have some luck, and the luck we had was that there was an immediate chemistry between those two girls.
And
rehearsals.
And Johan, between you and them also.
Yeah.
Which is important too.
Thank you. Yeah, but the whole idea of what was earlier mentioned, that the film is about girl power, was really given by those two young actresses. I made the part of Noah, the girl with the curly hair, much bigger, and the part of the boy was, in the end, it was a difficult part because he's depressed and he doesn't want anything. So that's not really handy in a film. And the whole, relationship between brother and sister was immediately clear. And there was much more to gain in the relationship between those two girls. So because of the casting, we adapted the script a little bit more in the direction of girl power, and that's how it all came together.
Mm-hmm.
I see. And did you direct an action film before? Was it challenging?
No. That was the great thing for me, that I wanted to do these fight scenes really, really good. So me and my DOP, we saw a lot of fights from Rocky to whatever film, and that was really a challenge to make sure that it looks really convincing. And I'm happy with the result.
And for us, it was really nice to see Johan behind the scenes and behind the camera, because he was doing the fighting as well. So he was moving all the time during directing. So that was nice as well. It was a good energy on set.
Yeah, you can also say that the director has an anger problem.
Well, that's for another discussion.
Yeah.
I'm curious to know what the audience, because there's audience admitted now. How did they see and think of the movie? I'm really very curious.
Yeah, maybe I can open it to the audience here. What do you guys think of the fighting scene? Right, we're talking about the fighting scene here. Anyone? You can raise hand or open your mic.
Oh, please.
Well, I can begin. I can begin. Actually, it's not fair, right? Because I read the film the film expose, and I saw that Aiko was not Bo was not the professional kickboxing, and Joy was the professional kickboxing. So immediately, actually, in the fighting scene, I could see that Joy is much better. Like, you know, the way she did it is much real. How about you, Leila? What do you think of the fighting scene? You are muted, Mbak.
I always enjoy martial art. I was involved in martial art when I was younger, so I always, besides drama, I also watch tons of martial art movies. But again, this is not a martial art movie, I know that. But of course, I always like fighting scenes. I think the peak, the best one was when, what's her name again? Bo was jumping, the very last one, when, you know, before she has to go and run away to help her brother. But that was excellent. Like, you know, when she was jumping, and we could tell because, you know, she was smaller than her opponent, and that's the way that that she has to do it. Oh no, yeah, her opponent is bigger. It's Joy, right? It's her own friend. Yes. Yeah, and it's very how to say, organic, you know, like it's not full of a beautiful choreography. Like in a lot of Chinese martial art, you would see a lot of nice choreography, but this one is much more organic. So it feels real to me.
Thank you.
Yolanda?
I have another question to
Yeah, thank you.
They might.
Thank you. Oh, sorry. I wanted to add something as well about the fight scenes, because I was really amazed about the professionality and the energy and in both girls. But what the whole fighting was for me a kind of, and all the scene in this fight school was the energy, the way they were professionally helping out each other. And so that's on the whole, I was not really looking at the fighting itself, but more about the relationship of the two people that were fighting or they were training, and I think it was very well done. It gave me a lot after the movie. I had a lot of energy because of this, because of the movement, and it's so well filmed. I wanted to add this. Thank you.
Yeah, and I can add something to that, because also that was for me a learning process, because here in Holland, kickboxing is many times associated with criminal people. Sometimes you have these big galas where sometimes there are problems and police has to come. But for me, going into this kickbox scene of younger people was really amazing. They were so sweet, so open-minded, and indeed helpful to each other. So I wanted to film it as a not a dark, grim place, but just a happy, almost religious place where they can really be themselves and find a way into life. This sounds a bit, help me, Jan, too much, but I really meant it that way.
I was having another question for the audience. Hopefully they are able or willing to respond. So don't be shy, please, because we're all friends. Amelia or was it Leila, was talking about girl power before. And my question is, did you had a sense of seeing girl power, and how it is in your own country? We are aware that we are living in Europe, and Indonesia has a different film culture and and a different societal culture. So how was that for you to see this kind of girl power? Is it possible in Indonesian films as well?
Maybe I give Mbak Lela chance to answer this. Yeah.
Oh, I thought someone from the audience.
Go ahead, Mbak. Yes, you. You can go first, and then the audience can go later. You are muted, Mbak.
I didn't really see it as a girl power movie at the beginning. When I see it, I was completely blank when I watch it, because that's the way I want to watch it. And then slowly, then I kind of get that okay, this is girl power. But I still see it, first of all, as a coming of age, a coming of age movie where the character really developed from a very, very angry kid to someone who was able to control through kickboxing. And then the second change, the second development that she achieved was to be able to stand up to her parents at the end in the courtroom. And I think that's very, very important for a young girl or guy, because the guy Danny also had some development at the end. At the end he also he was able to express what he feels. And to me, so that was more important to me to because in Indonesia, young people during my generation and the X generation, the generation after, we're not really allowed to speak up too much, because we were born under the repression of New Order regime. But the new generation, the millennial and the, what do they call, Z generation, the generation that who were born during the new Indonesia 1998, and then there's internet and there's social media. They're more outspoken, they can speak, they can express. So it's very different. And that's why this kind of movie is refreshing. And when you ask about Indonesian movies, girl power usually in Indonesian movies is not really portrayed through physical. This one is quite physical, and then it also influenced the way she thinks. But some of the coming of age movies in Indonesia is more about the friendship, the relationship between the girls and how they try to help each other. There's one movie that's very popular called Ada Apa Dengan Cinta, What's Up with Love, if I translate it literally. It's a friendship of 5 high school students, and one is also like this. The parents are divorced. The father used violence in the house, and then the other one is a happy family, and the other one. So there's 5 different high school kids, and it's a lot of love story in it. So I haven't really seen anybody making a movie that really use martial art or kickboxing or any sports as a vehicle to try to solve their problem. It's a different way. I just want to add another coming of age movies, but it's not girls, it's guys. It's apa, Laskar Pelangi ya? Is it Laskar Pelangi? Laskar Pelangi, and the second
Sang
Laskar,
Pemimpi, yes.
Sang
The
Pemimpi.
Dreamers.
Yeah, The Dreamers. The second one, it's a coming of age movie. I want to mention this because, as you know, Indonesia is a very huge, vast country, and we have a so many ethnic groups and many languages and totally different culture from one to the other. So the ones I mentioned, the first one, that's Jakarta kids. But then there's also kids from Belitung in Sumatra, and there's also kids from Makassar, and they have different ways of expressing their coming of age period.
And how feels the audience about it? Because I'm insisting on having an answer from the audience. I'm so curious.
Yes, please. Any audience wants to answer? Meanwhile, there is a question from the audience. Of course, it's not an action movie, but is there a fighting director in this film? From Franz Sartono. Franz is also a journalist.
He's a film critic too.
And a film critic, yes. Is there a fighting director in this film?
No, we only had somebody who helped us setting the fight and the choreography, but I tell him what kind of emotional stage the leading character is and what the fight should show emotionally. And then he comes with examples of how to do it, and then we build together the scene, the fighting scene.
I see. What do you think, Mas Franz? Maybe you can open your mic.
Thank you very much for the chance. I just want to add some information about what Leila said. We have a kind of sport drama. I said a kind of sport drama called Gadis Marathon, Marathon's Girl. But I think it's more than, it's tend to be and not sport drama for me. It's a story about a village girl who struggles to get a chance to join the national sport event. That's all.
Well, before getting too much in details, we should emphasize that the main thing for the main character is to bring her mind and heart in balance. As a young boy or girl, it's difficult because you do not know how to do it. You have to experience it. You have to be taught. You have to be educated or have other experiences to have a certain balance in your emotional life, but also in your thinking. And that's what our main character reaches at the end. So if it's fighting or horse riding or playing music or whatever, that's not the issue.
So I want to ask this, in the Netherlands, are there such kind of myths or assumptions around coming of age or family films that, the coming of age film should be, this and this and this, that you are trying to break or that you are trying to maintain?
Well, we have been talking amongst us with Johan and Barbara and Ineke. We as a film kitchen, we like to make movies which are in that way different than the other, in this case, youth movies. Because talking about myths or desires from society, it's mostly rather tame and a bit nice, and kids have to feel happy, which we all do agree. But in every kid's life, things happen that are not happy or they're not nice. So that's we wanted to have a good mix and a character that grows, that develops itself. And in that way, it's different than many other youth films, which are very often made according to a book, and this is an original screenplay.
Okay, thank you. But Leila, in Indonesia, do you think there are certain kinds of norms or myths around coming of age films that, you will get audience if, such and such norms are being followed?
Do you mean in terms of business or what do you mean by norms? Like
from society, I guess.
From the society.
Oh, the society. Oh. I think, first of all, after the Reformation, because Indonesian society has become very, 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 very conservative. You can hear that I mentioned 4 times the. So because of that, because before that we were much more relaxed about things, including religion, but nowadays, not only Indonesia but a lot of countries in the world have become populist and conservative. So one of the things, not only in movies, but also in writing, because I'm also an author, in terms of writing, performance, stage performance, music, and also movies, one of the things that people are more careful, what you call norm, is about how you portray religion and how you portray differences of ethnic and race. Yeah.
And gender and sexual preference, etc., etc.
Yeah, yeah. There's still so many different views about LGBT, for example, because in Indonesia, people would relate to religion. As I'm sure that also in the States and in some other Western countries, they still, speak about religion when it comes to LGBT, and in Indonesia too. So when some of my colleagues in the film industry try to make an LGBT movies, for example, and especially youth, young people who try to, to come out in the story, that's usually difficult. Like it has to be very subtle.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, something that I find very empowering from this film that is very different from a lot of the teens film that are available here in Indonesia was that the lack of romantic scene. Like most, if not all, the teens films in Indonesia have love or like romantic love at the center of the story, and it's for me, for a young person, I find it I find it degrading as well that we don't think about anything else than love, but for a lot of young people finding their way in the society, finding what they are good at, where they will go, and I think it's more empowering than talking only about relationship. And in your film, there is a little bit of this, but it's not central. Why in the script and in the story you choose not to play a big romantic card?
Well, you gave already the answer yourself.
Why?
Because you said, well, for me it's less interesting. Why is there only love? That's exactly the same what we thought at a certain point. Well, actually, I must be honest, it was never in the story, so we were not looking for it. We were looking for a different kind of love, not physical love, but a love of the other things, of expressing yourself, of finding peace at heart and finding peace in your mind.
That's great. What do you think, Leila, of this team? You are
yes, yeah. Yeah, I agree with you. It's very refreshing not to watch 2 hours of puppy love or whatever you call it. It's very refreshing. I mean, it's okay once or twice, but if I was a curator in the Indonesian Film Festival last year, and I think a lot of the teen movies were speaking of love, which is okay, but you want something different. But can I ask something? May I ask something about the ending? I'm curious. I'm curious about the scene at the end where when Bo starts to enter the final fight, and there's a scene where the parents came in and watch. It's nice. It's nice to see them finally. They at least they got along to watch their kid. But I'm just wondering why you decide that, because all along for almost how many hours we watched them fighting all the time, and then in the scene they were watching it together, and it seems that they get along. Like I was pleasantly surprised though, but I just want to know your decision to end it that way with these parents who are fighting all the time.
Well, there is one more dramaturgical decision, and that it is always nice to bring all your main characters in the end scene together. That feels as a bonding ending. And but the other reason was that for me always Bo as a youngster was more mature and grown up than their parents. I think parents are childish and not grown up. So that they are sitting there like two teenagers happy for their child is good to also to end that little storyline. I don't care about the parents. I only care about the children. But you shouldn't have to question what happened to the parents after the core scene. You know, that is then you're out of the movie.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, that's a very good move. Before I ask another question, if any of the audience wants to ask question, please feel free to raise hand or to put your question in the chat. This is a discussion and not just us. But one thing that I really like, a story device that I really like in your film is actually the narration and the counting, from the beginning until the end, the counting helps her. I want to ask, is this a story device that has been thought since the very beginning, or it was thought, at the end in the editing?
No, to be honest, there was much more voiceover written, but as editing developed and the story developed very well, we just needed less voiceover and only got back to the essentials. And for me, the counting in the beginning was very good, and I thought, well, if we don't need that much words anymore, maybe the counting can come back 2 times, so it looks as if it's a structure on its own. So the counting was already in the script, and I added it in 2 extra moments.
I see. Yes, that's very nice. How was the audience reception of this film in the Netherlands?
Super.
Well, I think we didn't reach the audience I had hoped, to put it bluntly.
We agree.
I'm still proud of the movie, and we have had incredible good reception all over Europe. And but in Holland, it didn't fit well in the cinemas. It was for the public was too young, or the public was too old. It was an in-between kind of movie, I think. And besides that, Dutch movies have always a hard time in Dutch cinemas.
No, it's difficult to reach the audience you're aiming for, and there are several reasons for it. Also from the side of the distributor, because he has to choose and negotiate with the cinemas, and the cinemas say, well, it's not after a well-known book. We have to distribute it or to show it in holiday time, because regularly throughout the year it's even more difficult to reach this young audience, and kids have to pay for it, which is also a sort of a how do you say that, een drempel,
A hurdle.
A hurdle, yes. Thank
Hurdle,
you so much, Yolanda. So it's rather difficult to have an original film without very well-known cast reaching a very big audience. It's really hard. Nevertheless, I think we should keep trying. whatever it costs, we should keep trying.
Yeah, but there was another problem. The film was mainly shown in cinemas in the big cities. So people had to, children had to travel to bigger cities, and they were too young to travel on their own.
No.
So that was another problem. But when you saw it when it was on the festivals like CineKid or in Belgium, then it won prizes because the children really likes the film. But they were just a little bit too young to travel on their own. So they had to go with their parents. And then when you have to travel for an hour, that's too difficult.
What was your segmentation aim at the beginning? It's children, you said, not the young people, not.
Well, it's
youth?
9+.
Oh, okay. I thought it would be 15, 12 to, you know.
No, because then they don't go this kind of movie mostly because it's about younger kids.
I see.
My
No,
daughter,
they're going to the Hollywood. They're going to the Hollywood movies, and that's the difficult thing, that children tend to go to movies. They're a little bit for the older
I see.
people.
Okay,
So when you
okay.
make a film about children who are 12 years old, then children from 9+ likes to go to watch a little bit older children.
So that's why
Or
you got
youngster.
the CineKid award, because it's the kids who watch it.
Yeah, but it goes to
Yeah.
13 or 14, I think.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah. And it was the same with the European Film Award, because then the film was shown in a lot of countries all over Europe. And they saw the film at the same time and then decided that it won the prize from the best European film of the year. But I think that I don't know exactly, but there were 5,000 or 6,000 children or something like that.
No, even more, I think. Even more.
Okay.
Yes, so now we started to talk about the Hollywood film. When this film was released, was it before or after Karate Kid? The second one,
after.
After. Okay, wow. So you guys have a tough comparison, wasn't it? Or, you know, was your audience comparing or no?
No.
I don't think so, no.
Karate Kid, which one? The Jade, the Will Smith kid? Jackie Chan?
Son. Yes, Will Smith's son goes to
Will
China.
Smith, yeah. That was 2010. That was a long time ago. This is 2018, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yes. It's far apart.
Farther
Yeah,
away,
I know.
Yeah.
Yes, yeah. I mean, personally, of course, this is my personal take. I like this more because of the simple, like, you know, this could happen to anyone. Well, you know, the Karate Kid has some, you know, the stage of the, you know, competition is much huge, it's much bigger, and yeah, the choreography of the fight is more refined. Well, this was I like it. I like the fact that the fight is not too well choreographed, that we can still see the youth, the amateurness of the characters, so that we don't, you know, so I feel more I can relate more to the character. And yes. However,
it's a girl.
Yes. So let's talk about this. That we talked about this thing as well previously in our previous movie talk about the competition with the Hollywood, you know, Indonesian children film, family film, teen films also have to compete with much more higher budget, much more marketable Hollywood films. You as a producer, Jan and Ineke, and also maybe you too, Johan, how do you fight for this space? How do you what do you think will be great You know, how do you defend that, you know, hey, this, you know, the space for that cinema, for that kids, that teenagers should always be there. And, you know, how do you, yeah, how do you define yourself so that, you know, this space will still be available?
Well, for us as the Film Kitchen, and Johan can speak later for himself, we think Hollywood films are great, but not for us. If you would like to make Hollywood films, we are in the wrong place. And moreover, we think making films like this, which is beyond the mediocre, the mainstream things, are for us more interesting because it has different things to tell the audience. We want to show our view on society or on the development of a character or coming of age of a character, and big effects, which are nice, but they are unaffordable. So also a financial problem. But we're not that interested in those kind of things. Although we want a big audience as possible, the biggest audience possible, which is different. Art house films, which this is one, is very difficult to get your money back, so to speak.
How about you, Johan, as a filmmaker?
Yeah, I think it's in the end also a political choice. If you see that, especially our youth films have always been very successful, and that gives you as a country also an identity, and like France or the Danish, they see that it is also has an economical use. So they support our own culture, not only because, oh, we're so proud of our culture and we love it, but they see that it helps to identify a country, and that helps to bring your economy further if you want that. And that feeling is not so well formed here in Holland.
Mm-hmm.
I see. And are the, like, you know, in Indonesia, Netflix, for example, they also acquired, they have not, I think, commissioned an original Indonesian film. Oh, yes, they did. But you know, in the Netherlands, are they doing the same? Because they want Dutch audience, so they were also commissioning originals and acquiring.
Well, they do, but slowly, and more drama series for television.
I see. Okay. There are some questions from the audience. Maria Cristina Shakuntala, she's asking how old are the children who can watch this film? What are the age of the audience that you are aiming at?
Well, we mentioned 9 to 14, but some kids can be 7 or 8. It depends. From the kids from 7 to 8 might watch it with their parents, for example, and if their parents are in good shape and with the kid, then there's no problem. Sometimes it can be too harsh for a kid if it's watching alone a movie, such a movie, then it might be a bit too harsh or something. But with the parents on the side, they can explain or say, well, this is like this and this, and so it's a bit different. But the main objective was children from 9 plus.
I see. Thank you. There's one comment from the audience. I think the fight is because the parents got divorced, and and you know, the fight isn't always in a hard fight like both. Another one is this movie story inspired or created by a teenage problem in the Netherlands? Are a lot of kids having problems because of divorce, of the parents' divorce?
Do you know that, Ineke, by the way?
Yes, I think for a lot of children it's difficult even if the parents doesn't fight. So, I mean, it's always a of course there are situations that it goes more smooth, but I think it's a problem for a lot of children, although a lot of parents divorce nowadays. But they're not always fighting like in this film. Is
Yeah,
that an answer?
what I read about it is that a divorce as such is already a traumatic experience for a kid, but when the parents keep fighting after the divorce, that's much more harmful than the divorce itself.
Mhm.
So I think that from a dramatic point of view, that was much more interesting for us to show this absurd way of quarreling and fighting of the parents, and that makes them also childish, irresponsible,
Mm.
and far from grown up.
Mm.
So it's not the fact that most teenage kids are suffering from a divorce, but in general, and I think that goes for every country. If parents divorce, there's many times not a good communication, not between the parents, but nor with the kids.
The
And
kids.
if it lacks, then there's a lack of love, and that's what kids can't handle. They just want to be seen and be loved, even if their parents are fighting. So that's the main
Yeah, and
problem,
if
probably.
they're not fighting, they don't want to choose. So I think, and it depends on the age as well.
No,
It's not that it's for kids. When a kid is 4, it's different than when a kid is 12.
no.
Okay, thank you. Thank you very much. There is somebody who missed your response, and he is asking, what is the difficulty in finding actors and actresses in the film Fighting Girl? Maybe we can have a quick response, and then it's almost time, and we can wrap up the discussion.
I don't
Yeah.
understand the question.
What are the difficulties in selecting the actors and actresses for the film?
Well, the only big problem was that our main character should also be really on a level with kickboxing. That was my main concern. But for the rest, it went easy, I have to say.
Well, we should, as producers, add something, because working with kids has very severe rules in the Netherlands, or maybe in other countries in Europe too. Like for a kid of 14, you are allowed only to work for a certain amount of hours per day, and a certain of days per week, and a certain amount of days in 1 year. So you have to have support, you have to have homework support. You can't exceed the hours shooting in a day, nor the days in a week, nor the days in a year. So that's another complication.
So you always try to have to cast the kid who's a bit older than the kids in the film, because then you have more possibilities for shooting as well.
I see. Thank you so much. Yes, Yolanda.
It's just that I was wondering, because we as Erasmus Huis are broadcasting the movie today, but I was wondering, because I don't really know the answer. So I asked the question to you, Amelia, and also to Laila, and maybe Frans Sortono can also answer. Would these kind of movies be interesting for cinemas in Indonesia, or is it more an art house film for festivals, or just to get to know the Indonesian
film world a little bit more.
I mean, I would say, as a perspective of a parent and also an audience, I would love this film to be available in cinemas in Indonesia. However, I cannot answer the likelihood of success in the cinema because, you know, as you know, Yolanda, it's a lot of factors, right? Well, right now, especially the cinemas are not there, but the marketing, the competitions of other films in the cinema at the time, it depends on a lot of things. What do you think, Malayla?
Well, cinema is out of question during pandemic. So it's not only Dutch movies, it's not only this movie, it's all movies. Cinema is out of question. No, like, you know, this is really, unfortunately, it's a bad time for film industry to produce something that only can be watched in cinemas because it's been closed for I don't know how long. You know, there were times they opened a little bit, but then, you know, it has to be just 50%. And, you know, I'm sure you know already about this because it has to involve many people, and the COVID here is really bad. So if we just make an example, if it's not in during pandemic, if this movie is being screened in a cinema, I think I agree with Amelia that Indonesians are not used to watch European movies or anything outside of Hollywood and Korea. Now Korea is booming here and it's booming everywhere. So they would watch Hollywood, Korea, and Indonesian movies. So from my perspective as a movie buff, I would love to watch this in a cinema, of course. But if you're talking about being successful, well, I don't know. You know, like I said, people are not used to watch French movies or Dutch movies, or, you know, like someone asked me about the Oost, the East, yeah, because that involves a lot of Indonesians there. There's a story of Indonesian people, and there's Indonesian actors too, right? But when some people ask me, do you think that it will be successful in Indonesian cinema? I said, I don't know. Because even the Indonesian historical movies that was made by Indonesian wasn't really that, you know, full, you know. So, you know, it's difficult. But you should have it in festivals here in Indonesia.
So like we better bring, instead of bringing the people to the cinema, we better bring the cinema to the people.
Yeah, you should show it online like this because it's pandemic now.
Or with a mobile cinema, Yolanda. Is that an idea for you?
Yeah, maybe. Yeah.
Would be lovely.
But still, we are not allowed to travel. So this is what Ibu Laila says. That it's the broadcasting online is the only thing.
The only way.
Yeah, it's the only way. So let's keep on doing this until we are allowed to go into the cinemas again. And of course, we have Europe on Screen, which is a really nice festival in Indonesia, showing especially films from Europe. And I try to bring in the youth and youngster films into that as well, because I think it's quite important for the nation, for all our children to get to know and to get into the heads of girls like Bo and Noah. Yeah. Okay.
So with that, we really thank Yolanda and the Erasmus Huis and also the Dutch Embassy for bringing this film to Indonesian public. We're very privileged to be able to watch it, and thank you so much for coming for this discussion.
Well, thank you all.
Thank you all.
Thank
you, your audience. Thank you too for your reactions and for watching.
Yeah. And thank you for choosing.
Thank you so much. And let's meet in the next edition of the Movie Talk.
Yes, would be nice.
Yes,
would be nice.
And let's bring more films to Indonesia from us.
Yes, please.
Yes, please. And in the Netherlands, we also love to see Indonesian movies as well. So because I
Yeah,
think
yes,
if we
yes,
get to know each other from both sides, that will be the
It's
best.
fruitful. Yes, I think so.
yeah,
Too. I would love to.
Yeah.
yeah.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank
Thank
you,
you all.
Yolanda.
Thank you,
Thank you all.
Okay.
audience. Thank you,
Bye-bye.
Amelia.
Thank you.
Thank you, our
Congratulations.
moderator.
Bye bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye bye.